Hello, everybody. It is almost 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the East Coast. I'm RM, and this is Positive Fandom. I'm joined here this morning with Tom Jr. Jackson. How are you, Tom, this
Good
morning?
morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you, too, Tom. I got so excited after I saw episode 5 of the Book of Boba Fett for season 1 that I just immediately had to start streaming. I just was so excited by the episode. I put on my Fennec Shan cosplay and I said, let me go ahead and stream because I am just so excited. Thank you for joining me this morning to talk about the episode that I feel may actually be season 3, episode 1 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, and it felt like that, or it could be the build up to it, at least. You know.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, we had a hint that The Mandalorian was coming back for this episode, but I had no idea, Tom, that the episode was going to be all about The Mandalorian. How about you?
No, I didn't. And it was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard.
Well, she did such a fantastic job
Yeah.
on this. I mean, this episode felt like a Mandalorian episode. Of course, we saw Din doing what he does best, going and collecting a bounty like a boss. He even gets hurt. He hurts himself. He injured himself. The fighting scenes were amazing. What did you think of the opening scene, Tom?
Well, when it started up, the episode started up, I wasn't expecting to see them come up with Mando. You know, I wasn't expecting that at all. I wasn't expecting to see um, them on another planet at least. So that was a change, which a lot of people were saying, well, I'd like to see just a little bit of a change in venue. So we got that. But then when Mando showed up with those dog people, I mean, I thought that may have been a flashback to like before Boba met Mando, but it wasn't. And I think it was great. And it was a nice little change, a nice little different um, pace for it. And I loved seeing how the guy's like, that's not me. That's not no, it doesn't look anything like me. So immediately, the dog guy was like, it's not me, just admitting it was him, So I liked how there was the humor in this episode was just spot on great. Which I as much as I enjoyed the series, I think it does need that humor at least to go through with it.
Yeah, and I have to say, I agree with you on seeing a new location, just maybe one of the coolest interstellar uh, space ports or depots
Yeah,
that
I don't know what it was. It was like a giant. I don't know if it's like a world or a port. It was huge.
was so good. It looked great. It
It
was, I
did.
mean, it felt very real. I want to go and visit that place. I want to hang out at that spaceport, whatever it is. And of course, as we, I'm sure as we've all been talking about, um, you know, every one of us have been wondering, what Din is going to be doing, what activities he's going to be up to after he delivered Grogu to Luke. And here we are. And this is a spoiler stream, guys. This is spoiler. I hope I put down it was spoiler, but this is just so if you're watching this is a spoiler for you guys watching. I was just so excited to see just him, of course, looking for his old enclave of Mandalorians. What did you think about that part?
That see, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't realize that's why he was there as well, looking for them. I thought they may have been on that planet that they were on before. So now that they were there, I mean, at first, when he was going, he hurt himself with the dark saber, and he's going down the ladder, and he almost slips, because his leg is hurting him. And then you get there and you see there are all there are two Mandalorians there. I was expecting him to drop the name of Boba Fett to see what their reaction would have been. But it was interesting that he brought up Bo Katan. And it's great you got that little piece of, for those who don't know who she was, they give you that nice little refresher course on who she is. This is who she is, this is what she did for the planet, and this is why this and this happened. And I think that was great for those who don't know Bo Katan's backstory. And it's just given to you in a little 5-minute thing, and that's it. 4 or 5 minutes, and there you go.
Yeah, definitely. I certainly have to say that, just kind of looking at this, I didn't know what to expect because the episodes have been so unpredictable. And, first of all, we got to see Din in top form, even though he got injured. And we also got to see him find the enclave of other Mandalorians. And when he gets in there, boy, it was so wonderful to see that we saw the armorer. What were your thoughts when you saw the armorer, Tom? I can't even speak now.
I was excited because I'm like, okay, where's this going? What's he gonna do? I mean, is he gonna get his armor fixed up again? And it was really cool for the fact that she was there. I don't know. I guess meditating, looking out at the stars, meditating, which it looked like a great place to do that.
Wasn't it beautiful? Like, I know it's a space station or whatever they call this, but it's really nice looking. I mean, I have to say, I'm really impressed with the special effects. This really was just so on the mark, wasn't it?
It was. It was very much where, and even though they do all this in that little, what they call it, I want to call it the vision for some reason. The vista,
The
that
space view.
enclave, yeah, well, that little sound stage,
Oh
and
yes.
then,
Oh, it's called the game engine or something like
yeah,
that.
something like that. And it's amazing. It's just this little place, but they make it look huge, and like you can barely tell that they're on, that they're in a little studio doing Tatooine, or they're in a little studio doing that spaceport or whatever it is. I mean, it just, the special effects on Mandalorian and um Boba Fett, absolutely great.
Oh, it was so fantastic to look. I mean, I think if they could make something like that at a park, some cool looking thing like that at a park, I would just be so all over that. He finds himself walking on the structure and he finally sees the armorer. And of course, we see the famous heavy Mando, who is actually Avisla. I can't remember his first name, but he's one of the guys who helped him escape from the Enclave. I think it was at the end of season 1, and apparently it's just the three of them, which I was kind of sad to hear. What did you think
Right.
about the rest of the clan just not even making it?
Um, that was, I was sad with that, but also it was, that must have been the result of the fight he left from, what, season 2, or was it
I,
season 1?
I think it was in season 1, but yes, it was. They all came out of the Enclave to protect him and to protect the foundling. And gee, I remember that there were foundlings in his Enclave. Does that mean that those foundlings didn't make it? Like, it seems very sad to think of it
Yeah,
that
it,
way.
it's like that scene in Revenge of the Sith where Anakin's going to the Jedi Temple to kill the foundlings, the younglings, or what I believe they call them, and that scene is coming up, and it just, all you have to see is the look on the face, and then it cuts away, and you know what happened, and you could, if you fill in the blank in your head of what happened. So with the fight with the Mandalorians and their foundlings, you could pretty much sum up what happened.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
it's really sad to see, the thought of that.
Yeah.
Because I was hoping that the younglings were gonna survive the attack, you know.
Yeah.
And then I have to say that I mean, we did see Heavy Mando in season one, and maybe not season two, but seeing Heavy Mando again was great. We know he's Clan Vizsla, and
Right.
you know, seeing the armorer there talking to Din about, you know, how did you get this dark saber, and you know, him having to kind of recant about how he acquired it. And you know, I love that soliloquy that she said about how, you know, the Mandalorians have lasted 10,000 years, you know, the Empire lasted, what was it, 50 years or 40 years?
Something like that.
But the Mandalorians have lasted 10,000 years. And it did feel very grounding, didn't it?
Yeah, and what surprised me was that the dark saber was made by both a Mandalorian and a Jedi.
Yes, by Tar Vizsla, who was a very important person in their ancestry and for Mandalorians in general. You know, one of these days, I hope we'll get a series with Tar Vizsla. But I have to say that I just love seeing the dark saber, and she took it. And I was afraid for a second that she was going to keep the dark saber. I don't know why I thought that.
No,
Um,
I had that thought too when it was brought over to her. So, and
yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people thought that, like, oh, she knows what it is. She's going to take it.
yeah, because he seems to surrender so many things to her, and I thought to myself, you know, he's going to surrender that, and then we'll never see the dark saber. It'll just be hidden with the armorer forever, or some kind of odd situation. But I also noticed, Tom, that she has her forge there with all of her, you know, special forging
Ooh,
tools, and that
yeah,
was good to see as well.
yeah, it was, and it was. Then when she noticed um, the stick that he had behind him, you know, it's amazing he didn't say who he got that from. Notice he didn't mention Boba Fett. So it makes me wonder, do they know of him or do they
Oh
all
yeah,
think he's dead? You
yeah, they
know?
know of him.
Yeah, but you know, what was that line I think in the last episode? Um, it's good that let them think I'm dead. Let them think I'm dead. And that's the way you when you come back out, you take them by surprise.
Absolutely. And you know, it was very interesting as you mentioned, he kind of presents the spear to the armorer and he gives it up, and I didn't think he was going to give up the spear, honestly.
Well,
But
she said it needed to be a weapon and not no, it should be part of his armor and
right,
not a weapon.
right.
But he wanted to turn it into something for Grogu.
I know. I want to get something for the little guy. Oh my gosh, that was like when I heard him say Grogu, I swear, I don't even know. I just was like, oh my gosh, he said Grogu. Like, you know, somebody remembers Grogu. So I can't tell you, Tom, how ecstatic I was when I heard that, you know, him say I want something for Grogu, and I was like, oh my gosh, Grogu. And then even the hint that something would be made, something special. Tom, what is this thing that you think that the armorer made for Grogu?
And, you know, I was thinking about this, and I don't. Maybe I could be wrong. You know, remember how Grogu liked to play with the little round spear from the shift? I'm
Yes,
wondering if he had her made a bunch of little spears for him.
that is a thought. That is a
Yeah,
thought. You know, your guess is as good as mine. Whatever it is, it's small because it's in that little pouch that
yeah.
she kind of, you know, wrapped up for Din. And of course, we couldn't see what it was, but it's made out of pure Beskar. So whatever this thing is, I'm just dying to find out. And then, of course, you know, it's with the implication that he's going to see Grogu. But before he can even get to that, after he talks about how he won the dark saber with a fight against Moff Gideon, he gets challenged right away.
Right. And she goes, "Well, did you kill him? No. He's getting justice will be done, and he will face his crimes." And she's like, "You better hope so." or we'll see. I think that was the word. We'll see. So it makes you wonder if Moff Gideon is going to show up in season 3, if they're
Yeah,
going to show what happened.
Moff seems to have a very he seems to get a like escape. You know, he wasn't executed when they thought he was being executed, and even though he's in Republic custody, I guess Republic custody, I have a feeling he's going to get away somehow because he
Right.
probably has like an exit plan or plan A, B, C, D, and E for everything. So I wouldn't be surprised if Moff did that, but. I absolutely love the fight between Vizsla and Din. And I think it probably could have gone on even longer if the armorer had not stopped the fight.
Right.
Um, and to be honest with you, I thought the heavy Mando would have easily beat Din, but Din had the
Right.
dark saber that he was fighting with, so perhaps that was the advantage.
And then she asked Heavy Mando, "Have you ever taken your helmet off?" No. And then she goes to Din and asks him the same question, and he just gets quiet. And then she asks him again, and he's still quiet. The third time, yes, I have. Immediately, you're no longer a Mandalorian.
Oh gosh, that must have been such a blow to him. I mean, I think he knew that this was happening, but Tom, the timing of this, right when he's reunited with them, to be
Yeah,
questioned about this like right away, he didn't even get a chance to breathe. And now he has to go to the moon of Concordia, I'm sorry, somewhere
now he's got to go back to Mandalore into the mines.
That's right. He has to go back to Mandalore. And, he does kind of ask about Bo-Katan, during this entire thing. And the armorer is like, something? Bo-Katan got the dark saber, but she didn't get it in battle. Like, it was very funny. It's true in the Clone Wars. I
Yeah,
think Sabine Wren, I think, gives it to her. And she has it. And Catan was like, there's a curse if you take the dark saber and you don't have it through like combat, then it's bad. And we also learned that the armorer and a bunch of other Mandalorians went to the moon of Concordia while the Night of 1,000 Tears was going on, and we got to see the Night of 1,000 Tears and a bunch of K2SOs. It looked like it was a bunch. They looked like droids that were K2SOs, right?
yeah. And I thought that they must have been that make and model.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
So I'm
and
like, oh my gosh, are they going to remake K2SOs? Because that's like my grail figure. I've been always wanting a K2SO figure because he's just ever since Rogue One, I've just fallen in love with that
yeah, he was one of my
droid.
favorites in Rogue One as well. Like when they gave him all the their suitcases and whatnot, and after they leave, he just and just drops them everywhere.
Oh yes.
And
And what
I love that. I love that they reprogrammed him, but they reprogrammed him, and he came out with an attitude.
yes. What do you think about how the armorer was trying to help Din wield the dark saber? She kept saying he was fighting the blade. What did you think about that?
You know, I found that really interesting. And then she goes, "Your mind is not on it," and it sounded a lot like how you would, work with a lightsaber.
Yes, with
You
a
know,
Jedi or
would
Yoda
you
telling
keep
Luke,
focused?
feel the force or something. Now, what's interesting about the dark saber, and I'm sure one of these kind people out there will correct me if I'm wrong, the dark saber actually responds to the user. And
Yeah.
the I guess
All
the
he's
link.
thinking about is Grogu.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting about that, Tom, is that do you think that there's some way that telepathically Grogu and Din can communicate, like that Din can sense when Grogu may be in danger? Because he seemed very concerned about Grogu having something to protect him and also making sure Grogu was okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, you could tell he's like, I need to see my little friend.
Yes.
And she's like,
Yes.
well, the Jedi, their way is to get rid of anything they cared about. And he goes, that's so the opposite of our way, where loyalty and camaraderie or whatever it was he said, the family togetherness is part of it, for the Mandalorian. See, so immediately there you can tell that Mandalorians and the Jedi are a little bit alike but different. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and there certainly is something to this Mandalorian who was a Jedi. I mean, we haven't actually seen a Mandalore be a Jedi, let's say in live action. So I guess at some
Mhm.
point maybe we'll see the story of Tar Vizsla, hopefully in the future. But that certainly is a story that I want to see. But it also implies that if Din, now that he's admitted that he's taken his helmet off and he has to go to the mines of the warders in Mandalore, that he's going to go to Mandalore. But I always thought it was destroyed. This is something that I find very interesting. Now it's almost like she's putting on him this impossible quest. Is it an impossible quest, Tom?
Well, let's see. It's an impossible quest in the way that on his journey to do that, he's gonna do side missions, little side things like he's going to find Grogu, and we all know that at some point he's going where it's going, where he's gonna help out Boba Fett. So before he can do anything, before he can do that, he's gonna do whatever. First he's gonna find Grogu. I didn't realize he was looking for a ship as well. So, and that was great. When they said, okay, the flight is going to Tatooine, I'm like, oh, okay, so he must have been contacted already. And I immediately thought that until, you see him get on the plane. They stop him for all the weapons. They make him put him in the case. He tells them, I know what's in there. I know everything that's in there.
Honestly, Tom, you and I both know that you don't put the dark saber in checked luggage, but
Mm.
this was really one of those situations where he had to abide by that. But honestly, like that was probably something that I think he I would have never agreed to do that personally. I would never put the dark saber. Who would have guessed the dark saber was in checked luggage? Let's just hope that the dark saber that he got back is the actual dark saber. I mean, I would really be very disturbed by the thought of it being switched out or something. Or,
Right.
but
And the fact that he put it in there, it made me think that, as you were saying, how he was giving things back, I think he just doesn't want to hear it. He doesn't want to get into an argument over the stuff. So all right, what is this? Is this? I don't need any problems right now. I have a goal of what I'm trying to do. I don't want any problems, and this is what I'm going to do. So he just put it in there because he just didn't want to listen to that robot. He didn't want to have to speak to someone about it and miss his flight. Let's talk about that flight for a minute. How he's sitting there, and the little Greedo-like character pops up and is like, and
oh,
immediately with the helmet on, you could tell. I don't know. Somehow you get the emotion,
yes,
even though he has that helmet on. You get the emotion that it reminded him of Grogu
yes.
immediately from that, and that itself really it surprised me. Not surprised me, but it made me go, okay. He really misses his little buddy. He got attached to him, and he wasn't expecting that. I mean, when the Mandalorian started out, he wasn't expecting to go down this route with Grogu. It was just a job. And then when he found out what the idea behind that job was, they grew close together.
Yes.
But I think in a way it was done for a certain reason. That Grogu would only stay with him because he trusted him. And I think Grogu knew during that time on the Mandalorian that Din needed him.
Mm-hmm.
Din may not have noted may not have known it, but he did, and it made him have a different outlook on life, and you could tell that from the way he does these little side jobs.
Yes.
You know,
And I just want to give a shout out to Darth Plato for being here, for Charlie the Unicorn.
yeah.
Hey Charlie,
And Paulie,
and for
Paulie is here.
yes, a random character. Thanks, Polly. Thank you so much, Polly. I hope you liked. I hope you liked this episode too. I'm sure you did because I'm sure you reviewed it. Charlie, I did get your response about what was missing from the episodes, and I did make a note of it because I had every intention of kind of reading that where it says. Star Wars viewers' joys are romance, vehicles, droid design, characters showing us doing amazing things, not telling us about them, and mysticism. And I feel like this particular episode had a lot of those things in it, didn't it, Charlie? Charlie has some more comments here where he says the armorer is badass. Now this is pod racing. Random character says we basically got a Mandalorian episode in the middle of Boba's slow show. Crazy thing is, it
Right.
was 10 times better than the rest of Boba Fett. Um, um, who else said random character? If anything, it just makes me more hyped for Mando season 3. Bo-Katan is probably going to challenge Din for the dark saber. And Charlie the Unicorn made a prediction, Tom, about what was made for Grogu. He says it's chainmail.
Okay.
Chainmail, Beskar, that kind of makes sense,
Yeah.
Charlie, the unicorn. I have to say, oh, Paul from Long Beach is on. Hi, Paul. I hope
Hi,
you are
Paul.
well. Thanks for coming and joining us for this live stream. For there are spoilers, guys. I have a banner at the bottom that says there are spoilers, so I don't want anybody to be upset because we're spoiling the episode. Tom was good enough to join me. He and I have probably been up all night. Watching this episode. God bless you, Tom, for doing this.
Well, I was laying down for a little bit, and I think I woke up around 1:30, and I just was watching stuff on YouTube till it was time for Mando. Actually, I thought that that not only Mando was coming on, but also then Peacemaker. But then I forgot. Nope, that's tomorrow, tonight or tomorrow. I don't know how you would put it. I can
No,
never
I
tell with
understand.
these
It's
overnight
another
times.
time. It's not the same time.
Right, but yeah, yes, it did look like chainmail, Paul in Long Beach. It did.
Oh, a little
So,
chainmail for Grogu.
yeah,
I'm gonna have to get my little Grogu a little chainmail outfit to put on.
yeah, and the way, as I said before, the rag or the yeah, the rag or
The cloth that it was in,
the
right?
cloth that was in what looked like Grogu. It had the roundness, and then the way it went out looked like the ears, and yeah, and what I loved was once they got to Tatooine and we found out where he was going, that little BD robot. All I could think of, this little robot reminded me of Grogu,
Aw.
and I could tell you why. Is when they were working on the ship that he apparently he's like, "Where's this Razor Crest?" She's like, "Well, I got something better than a Razor Crest." I thought that was Anakin's pod racer when she revealed it.
Yeah, it does look like a pod racer because I guess the fuselages, the two fuselages, I
Yes,
don't know, or the
but
engines.
it was the color. But then I thought about it. I think that may have been the ship that Anakin used when they said you just sit here and stay and don't touch anything, and it was the one that he went up into space with. I'm thinking that may have been it. But
It
I
might
love that how
be.
they put it together.
Does anybody in the chat know if that let's see. I don't know if anybody said, but I have yeah, it could be that ship, Tom. I
Yeah,
don't really even remember. It's
And the great part is after he took it for the spin and he came back down, he says, "Wizard." He goes, "Wizard. How was it? Wizard."
Yes, that's like, I guess that's like a cool term now. I'm gonna have to get a shirt that says wizard. I've never heard that term before, but that does not mean it isn't somewhere in, Star
Right.
Wars
And
lore.
then, but to get back to him testing out the ship, and he gets stopped, and one of the guys is like, "Hey, did you used to fly a Razor Crest?" "No, I don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah.
"No, I don't know. What do you Razor? No." And that was a great callback to that episode.
Yes.
But when they were asking him questions, he just hit that button, and you saw how fast that thing went. So like the mechanic, I guess that's her name. That's what I call her, the mechanic.
Pele. Pele is her name.
Yeah, played by wonderfully by Amy Sedaris.
Yes.
Um, she goes, no, this will make it go fast. Trust me. And when she's saying that, like, yeah, okay, yeah, it's gonna break down, and he's gonna get stuck in space. But no, that thing went faster than light speed. It just
It it did go fast, and that pilot who recognized Din, he didn't bother following him. He's like, yeah, let's let him go. Like, it was because I guess maybe he feels that Din is doing more good than harm overall. And perhaps, we don't really know, but Din might actually be in contact with him and kind of be working with the Republic. I mean, I'm not sure for certain, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's maintaining that relationship somehow. And I think Charlie the Unicorn says, another stream said it is unknown in regards to the ship, but some markings around the cockpit were very similar. Could be either Anakin or Obi-Wan's ship, like what you
yeah.
said,
Now I
Tom.
think of it, now I'm gonna have to go back and watch episode 3, that ending of when he lands on. Well, no, he was in on a speeder though. I think. Now I got
Hmm.
to watch that ending and see how Obi-Wan was on that planet.
Well,
If he
Paul,
was
I'm sorry.
if he was in the ship, or if he was on one of those, as Boba calls it, speeder.
Yeah,
How you ride the bike.
yeah. Well, honestly, it's a combination of two ships,
Yeah,
different parts of ships. And Paul from Long Beach says, how would he take a bounty in that ship? It's a one-person ship, and I wondered that myself. He can't use that for bounty hunting, so maybe he'll have that ship and then maybe another Razor Crest, because he seems to really want to get that Razor Crest back. So I have a feeling we're going to see the Razor Crest again. It's not going to be the same exact Razor Crest, but he wants a Razor Crest just because it has that hauling capacity where he can haul many bounties in it and continue, if that's what he decides to do, with his, life that way. But here it says this is a stage one. A second stage would be a larger mothership to haul bounties and the Naboo fighter, from Charlie the Unicorn. Thank you, Charlie. Also, one other thing that I noticed, and Paul from Long Beach says that the Razor Crest has a restroom. Yes, that's why, even though the X-Wing fighters, I do love X-Wing fighters, you're just sitting there, and it could be a very long time where you're sitting there. There's no place to, but maybe there is something.
they
Um,
have like
are you still there, Tom? I feel like his screen might have frozen just a bit. So hopefully he'll unfreeze, and we can get back to this. But Tom, are you still there?
yeah, I
One
am.
thing that, okay, I'm sorry, Tom. One thing that I kind of liked was, and I had kind of made a joke in the Book of Boba Fett early on about the Jawas, and I said it's like whenever you need directions, you just ask a Jawa, and pretty much you could just ask a Jawa for anything. You need parts, ask a Jawa. Like
But
they've
then she
become.
described what they look like. They're furry. They're furry. I told you, they're furry.
Well, I'm very surprised that Pele even admitted to dating a Jawa. Like she's very open to interspecies dating, but Pele is a very unique individual, I have to say. And I actually had my doubts about the ship when she showed it to him because I said, "Oh, this is so unfair. Like, why couldn't she fix it before he got there?" But it seems to go really fast, and obviously, this is a precursor to let us know that Din is going to have to outrun or do something. But I just hope it's not another pod race scenario. We also learned that the Pikes are terrorizing everybody on Tatooine,
Right.
and
So you're getting that other side of the story from, as we know what's going on with the Book of Boba Fett, what's going on there. I think the reason they made this episode was to at least give you the opposite side of what's going on. You know, like so you know exactly how other people feel about what's going on this planet. You
that's
know,
true. That's very true. Um, and one other really interesting thing is that, apparently there's something special about that ship that it can jump faster than other ships. I don't understand all the mechanics of this, but I'm sure this is going to be very important because they said very specifically that you don't need a ring to jump into hyperspace or hyper,
right? Because
yeah,
most of the ships like that one that they've had would have like when it goes out, it'll pull up the ring like you would
right.
see in the prequels. So this must have been something that was close to it, or maybe just right around the time they started to stop using those rings.
Yes, and so it's very interesting that Fennec managed to sort of uh, completely undo Pele's defenses. But honestly, Pele doesn't have a ceiling in her hangar bay anyway. Like anybody could jump over that thing. And she
Right.
kind of hops down and she's like, Boba needs your help. She offers him money. He's like, I'll do it for free. And I think that's very funny because I had a feeling. I thought that Din would kind of be broke and he would need money, but for him to offer to do it for free, I thought was very interesting because he kind of guess I think Din still feels like he owes Boba help, or a favor for everything he did because he would have never gotten Grogu back without Boba's Fett, would he?
Right. You know, I just want to swing back to when they were putting
Yes,
the ship together,
let's do it.
and I'll tell you exactly what moment reminded me of Grogu. Is that little BD droid had its flashlight going? He goes, "No, up higher, higher," and it reminded
Yes,
me of that scene when they were fixing the Razor Crest. No, no, higher, higher, and that seemed to mirror that scene. And
definitely
so,
an Easter egg there.
and I'm sure now after this episode, everybody's going to want that little droid. They're going to want a hot toy. They're going to want a toy of it. They're going to want to make a droid down in Galaxy's Edge that looks just like that droid. So yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, once I heard Fennec, offer him this, he says, I'll do for free. And then he says, but first I have to pay a visit to my little friend first to make sure he's okay. I
yeah.
was like, it's Grogu. We're gonna see Grogu again. So I'm so excited to even see that. But this episode was kind of like what we've been wanting, or expecting to see through a good portion of the series. There was a good amount of fighting. The story progressed rather quickly. We got a new ship. We also found out from the armorer more information about the importance of the darksaber, which many of us already knew, but it was kind of nice to hear from her and see Vizsla challenge Din right there for it, which indicates to me that that could be something very interesting. But I think you and I both know, Tom, that the armorer probably could have challenged Din for that dark saber and won. Why do you suppose she didn't challenge him? And because I have a feeling she could have really kicked his butt and gotten that dark saber from him. What do you think?
I I think she knows that he needs it. I think she thinks it may help him become a better Mandalorian in some way. That's why when he says, "How can I redeem myself and make things right?" She could have said, "No, there's no way you can do this. You're not a Mandalorian. That's it. There's nothing I can do." She gave him that task because she knows it will help him become a better Mandalorian and he'll do it. He'll find whatever way he needs to do it. And it may be like one of those tasks that they would give a Jedi of becoming a better Jedi. Well, you need to go and do this. You need to find this and bring it back to this. So it may be not only a trust exercise, but a building exercise for confidence in himself. Because what he's trying to hold up that dark saber, your mind's clouded. You're thinking of something else. She's thinking if he does this, it'll distract him from everything else, and he'll be able to become what he was meant to become. So maybe he is meant to become ruler of Mandalore, but he doesn't want that. That's not what he wants. And I believe he said that during season 2. I think in the season finale, he said that. No, I don't want to be in charge. That's not what I want.
You
Here,
know,
you can have this. Well, no, we got to fight for it.
it's very interesting that you should say that because for some reason, I feel like he's become like that character in from Pitch Black, that Vin Diesel plays, the
Oh,
Negro
Riddick.
monsters.
Riddick,
Yes.
yeah.
I feel like he's like Riddick because Riddick kind of like got the throne and he kind of like sits on the throne and just gets it. And of course he defeated the leader and earned it. But that wasn't his intention at all. He was trying to save that young woman that he cared about. And I just find it really interesting that, he's kind of like this is all happenstance falling to him, and it just might be his fate that he is the next leader of Mandalorian. So he may not be able to go against that fate that may have already been decided for him. And Charlie the Unicorn mentions you have to beat a Mandalorian to gain the Darksaber to rule Mandalore. So she didn't view him as a true Mando since he was not following the creed in her eyes. So no challenge, think of it as an honor. So then do you think that he would have to surrender the Darksaber if he's not a true Mandalorian anymore? If he had
Well,
already.
she let him take it, though. She could have said, no, leave it.
Yeah, I mean, so does that mean that whoever was the last person who won it in combat, and supposedly they say that the last person who did was, I think it's Luke, is the one because there's some sort of chain of
No,
custody in it.
the last one. I'm trying to think how Moff Gideon got the dark saber. He won it.
I
And
don't know if Moff Gideon won the Darksaber. He might just be in possession of it.
right.
Um, from what I understand, somehow because Maul was defeated by or yeah, there it is, Maul. Because Maul was somehow defeated or killed, and then it's supposed to go to Palps, and then Palps was defeated by Luke, I guess, and Vader. Therefore, Luke is the one who rightfully has possession of the Darksaber in that order. But I don't want to get too much into it. I saw it on a blog somewhere, so it may not be right, guys. But from what I see, Charlie's saying maybe they stole it. It may not be exactly correct, Tom.
Right.
But this is what I heard about it. And it's just kind of interesting to look at the succession thing because it's such a big role. It's more than just sort of like taking it from someone, isn't it?
Yeah.
You
And it just
know?
seems like everybody's just taking it. And
Yeah.
I think maybe, who knows, maybe the dark saber wants him to work with it. Who knows? It's very
Ah,
interesting.
Tom,
And
I
so
really like that idea.
that's why it's heavy. He's focused on Grogu, but I think, because think about it, he put the dark saber down after he was talking to the armor, and
Yes.
then when the guy challenged him, he was able to pick it up again. So maybe the dark saber knows something about. Maybe it's connected somehow with Din. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's going to be interesting seeing where it goes forward now. And I think it was Charlie or Paul in Long Beach who is wondering if we're gonna visit Mandalore, and
Oh,
who maybe we might be doing that. I
yes.
think that may be Mandalore. May be the goal towards the season. The whole season is going to be working up towards that. Mandalore will be the season finale. So
Oh,
the episode before the season finale will probably be him going into the caves or wherever the mines, and then the season finale itself will be him working to get whatever he needs and get it out of there, and probably fight against whoever he needs to fight against. And that'll be interesting because to see between episode one of no, it would be chapter whatever, or we'll just call it episode one,
uh-huh.
and the season finale. There's going to be some sort of little side missions and whatnot. So maybe maybe we're gonna see him. Maybe that's where we'll see him go to see Grogu. So I have a feeling he's going to see Grogu, and next week they'll go back to Boba with he's doing this. He's gonna come back. He had to do something, but he's gonna do it. And the buildup will be him being the muscle just as the fight begins. That's why I've been saying the whole season has been for the Book of Boba Fett. Uh, Boba pretending. This is how what I think. He's pretending to let everybody think that he's weak, that he doesn't care, and really there's an agenda there, but we don't know what that agenda is because they're playing the cards so close to their chest. The writer, Favreau, must be doing that because if they were automatically to give out, okay, this is what the whole thing is, what's the point in watching the rest of the season if you know what the actual plan is and why he's doing what he's doing? It's a great little mystery. It's a slow burn, yes. But I think once we get to Mando coming back to Boba, and Boba going, okay, this is what we're doing, and this is why we're doing it. It's going to open up everything, and people are going to be like, oh, I see why he's doing that now. I see why he's, going against beating to beat of his own drum or whatever it is they say. It's all going to be revealed within the next 2 episodes, I think, the whole plan. And then it'll be revealed in the season finale if it's going to come back. And I'm sure it'll come back for another season.
Right,
But
right.
if it does, it's going to build up to that, to where he's going to show that he means business. It may be he wants to take care of the Pikes. It may be he wants to get revenge for um, the Tusken Raiders. There's a lot there that could be the reason why he's doing what he's doing. And it's going to be something where people are going to go, why didn't I see that coming? I have that feeling that they got this card that no one knows yet. And it's going to be shown, and everybody's going to be like, oh. And once the season ends and you watch it all in order, you'll begin to notice, oh, okay, that's leading to this. This is leading to that. You'll see them like that. But that's my opinion. I could be wrong.
No,
Don't take it as
I love to hear different opinions, Tom.
yeah. Don't take it as like as if I know something because I know nothing about it. I know no one it did. Well, no, that's not true. I do know someone that works for at Skywalker Ranch, but I know nothing about what's going on with this show. I have a friend
Well,
that works there. She works on the wiring and stuff like that. And
mhm.
I'm sure she probably knows more than I do, but I'm not going to go and ask her that. I don't want her losing her job.
No, of course not. And Charlie the Unicorn goes on to say, we have to give a shout out to director Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yes.
She hits Star Wars out of the ballpark every single time. Max Geekdom says it has to. Episode 7 is the last episode. And they were also saying, don't you think this was a disservice to Boba? I have no idea. I don't know how this is going to
No,
fit into all of this. What I
no,
can say is that for me, I was under the impression that Boba is going to be like Satine in his passivity. How she believed that Mandalorians should be passive and that they shouldn't, have encounters. And we've seen Mandalorians like that before. And she was the
right,
ruler of Mandalore. So you just never know who may end up taking over Mandalore, especially since now we've heard from the armorer that Bo-Katan is a cautionary tale.
right,
And that really shows, almost implies that a lot of people don't really support Bo-Katan, or at least they feel that, her situation was bad. Honestly, one thing I could fault her for in the Clone Wars is kind of like, going against her sister, more or less. I felt like that was the wrong thing. But it was very interesting. Charlie the Unicorn says, appear weak when you are strong and strong when you are weak, by Sun Tzu. It's from The Art of War, right?
right,
Um,
right. And you know what? As I said, that may be the game that Boba Fett is playing.
mhm. And also, now that we know the Mandalorian is going to be helping them to, finish whatever they need to do, or take over on Tatooine, I have a feeling there's going to be even more fighting. We saw some great fighting from Fennec Shan in the previous episode. We saw fantastic fighting from Mando, and just his normal fantastic abilities there. And I'm hoping we see even more of that going forward. You know, we already heard the Pikes mentioned a lot. And it's funny because this episode was called The Return of the Mandalorian, right,
Right,
Tom?
right.
So
As soon as I saw
clearly
that,
it is.
as soon as I saw that title, I was like, "Oh wow!" But when I saw the ship, my jaw dropped. I was like, at first, I thought that was the pod racer, But all in all, the episode itself had so many things. And you
uh,
were asking, why would they do this with Mando and not show Boba? And as I said before, this is the build up to that. So you're getting the other side, as they would say, the other side of the conversation. It's the build up to, all right, you just can't have them go to Mando and go, okay, we need your help. Because the first question everybody's going to ask is, what's he been up to? What's he been doing? Does he miss Grogu? Is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? You know what I mean? So it's sort of like their version of the flashback of leading up to where he meets up with Fennec. So I'm thinking this was the lead up to that. I'm thinking that next week it'll go back to being Boba. We'll have Fennec go back to Boba maybe and say, look, he's off doing something. He's going to do it. He's doing it for free. And he said yes.
yes, and TK592 says, can Death Watch? They're actually children of the Watch. And I think Bo-Katan, I can't remember who was Death Watch, but I think this is Children of the Watch. I don't think it's the same as the Death Watch guys, but I could be wrong. TK592, could they really speak anything about Bo-Katan? Because look at Paz and the Armorer, reduced to nothing. This is a good point. Went from 3 to 2 in 5 minutes because of their radical ways. This is a good point. And, but they are still alive. They survived the night of 1,000 tears. So perhaps they're just the sole survivors. But you're right. The entire enclave is gone, and it is something to think about. And Charlie the Unicorn says, this sums up the Book of Boba Fett perfectly. Everyone scratching their head so far. Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night. And when you move, fall like a thunderbolt, from Sun Tzu. And Max Geekdom says, this is what we wanted to see. Absolutely. It's very interesting because if we had seen particular fights and things like this even if it wasn't Boba, I think a lot of us would have had different opinions about a good portion of the series. But now that we are seeing more hardcore things, and we knew that this episode was going to have to be one that was going to blow it out of the park, right, Tom?
Right,
We knew they
right,
couldn't drop the
and
ball on this one.
I've gotten this from the Book of Boba Fett. I'm getting the vibe I get from it is more of a Magnificent Seven type vibe, where or for those who really want to deep dive, a Seven Samurai type thing, where Boba's like, okay, I'm gonna get this guy to come work with me. I'm gonna get these kids to come and help. Okay, we need some muscle. We need this. Okay, we're gonna get Mando. I think the Rancor is going to be what Boba will be writing in on. I think that the Black Wookiee is going to have a part to play in it too as well.
Yes.
So it's almost like that. That's how it feels. Whereas the Mandalorian feels like the old Clint Eastwood movies, The Man with No Name.
Right,
So you've
right.
got that Western feel. This is that like Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven feel, where the guy comes in and they're like, well, we need someone to come help. These people are taking over our territory. They're harassing us all. And it's Mando who goes, okay, I can do this. All right, I'm going to get help. I'm going to get this guy. I'm going to get this guy. I'm going to get this guy. So that, I think, may be the general arc of the show. That may be the theme, just like the theme for Mandalorian was the man with no name, the gunslinger who just comes into town and does what he needs to do. Doesn't really want to do it, but he's gonna do it anyways.
Right.
So yeah, I find that very interesting, and it's going to be interesting seeing how the next two episodes play out. The season finale is February 9th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that is the last episode for that.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think what is next that's coming out after after I know Mandalorian will probably be out same time as always in November, December type thing. But
And
Bryce Dallas Howard, she directed a Mando episode in the first season and the
mhm,
second season. And
mhm.
that's why this episode felt like that. And I think what they're
Yes.
trying to do is, okay, you got Boba Fett going on here, but we're gonna give you that feeling of the Mandalorian because the next couple episodes are gonna be something you're not expecting. So it's gonna be a
Yes. And Charlie the Unicorn says episode 7 will have some type of huge battle. It's going to be lit with parallels to the Dirty Dozen as well. And
yeah,
he says BK Santee and Max Geeksdom says, yeah, she killed it. I'm assuming he means Bryce Dallas
Bryce
Howard.
Dallas, yes. And she's
And
becoming a great director.
yeah, she
I
really
mean, and
is.
what a great way to cut her chops as a director and to do the Mandalorian, a television series. That's a great way to break yourself in before. And I'm sure she'll direct a movie at some point, and she'll do a really great job at it. She's turning into a fantastic director,
She really
much like her
is.
father.
I mean, this episode felt like a movie. I just really enjoyed it, and it kind of felt a little. It wasn't Empire Strikes Back, but the way that they were underneath the that machine or the planet, the
Yeah.
base, kind of felt a little Empire Strikes Back. The way that they were looking out. Well, he wasn't really looking out at anything because they were sort of inside of a reactor, but when he's in Cloud City, I
Where are we
guess
gonna
he's holding on.
where are we gonna hang out? Oh, let's put them inside a reactor. All
Yeah.
right, sure,
Yeah,
that'll work.
it was that's true. Um I have to say I haven't been this excited, since episode 2. I really am just pleased as punch with this. And, I had kind of made a joke about, well, is Mando going to save them? And it's not so much that I thought that Mando was going to save this. It's just that, Mando doesn't have the same weight on his shoulders right now that Boba Fett has.
Right.
There's a lot that he has to think about, and every action he has affects so many other people now. So, that's something to think about in regards to how his character behaves and the types of actions that he may or may not take. Um, Fennec seemed to be very oh, here someone has a question. Paul in Long Beach asks, does anyone know what planet the armorer was on? Was that Coruscant? I think it was a space station, Paul. Does anyone, right, Tom? It was a space station?
Yeah, it was like some sort of space station type doc. I think I'm gonna have to watch this episode again at some point.
Well,
Maybe
if
later
anybody
today
in
or
the chat
something.
has the answer, let us know. It looked like a space station to me and to Tom, but for some of you, it may have looked like something different. For me, it looked like a really, really cool space. Like I want to go to that place, wherever that is.
Yeah.
I want to hang out there. Um,
Yes, Charlie the Unicorn. She was great in Jurassic World. And it'll be interesting to see how she plays off in the next Jurassic World movie as well. I mean, she's just like her father, except she didn't start out on a television show. She started out as an actress in movies. Now she's getting into directing, so I think she's going to be just like her father and, excuse me, become a really great director. Um,
Absolutely. Mhm.
Vertical Horizons says it looked too similar to a Halo ring. Max Geekdom called it Ring World. Could
Yeah.
be, could be at some point. Probably we'll find out in one of those the making of Boba Fett book. They'll probably tell you exactly what it is. Because I got
Yeah,
a
I think
couple of those books. I have the I think it's the Art of Galaxy's Edge, and they actually, they tell you, okay, this is how this place was going to be built. They show you all the concept. That's why at the end of each episode, you see all the different concept art because they want you to know, okay, this is where some of these scenes have come from.
you know,
And
I
I'm
didn't
so,
I didn't look at the concept art this time, Tom.
yeah, the concept art at the end of this episode, the little Greedo like character wasn't a Greedo character. It was a little, looked like a little humanoid type boy just looking out the window, like, and that was a great scene when you just see the ship come by and the kids looking out, and Boba's like, and just goes off.
Gives him the
I mean,
salute.
it was a great episode.
Oh, it was so good. We were off world. We came back, onto a space station. He found the Enclave. There was the armor. There was Heavy Mando or Vizsla, as Paz Vizsla, I think is his name. And then we get to go on to a commercial flight to
Right.
Tatooine. And when he takes off all his his weapons, like it's kind of fun to watch him. He's like boom, boom, like he said, put them
And
all
he
down, and
takes
it's
off
like so
the
many.
string from his thing as well.
That's right.
I was waiting to see him like just take out this big wad of string and put it in
Yeah,
there.
it was
And
so much
apparently
fun to
it
watch
took
him
him
do
like nothing to put it all back on. So
that. And then, of course, it's like he was sitting on the bus, in that cargo thing, just like
yeah,
any one of us would have to if we had to take public transportation to get to Tatooine. And, finally, when he does get there to see Pele, that also was kind of fun. We kind of knew we were going to see her again because we saw her in a previous episode. But they did actually make that ship look really nice and sleek.
yeah,
And obviously, as I said before, it seems like yeah, he says no wonder. Paul in Long Beach says no wonder the Republic fell. Its fighters are now traffic cops. Yeah, it is a little disturbing or perturbing in a way, but I have a feeling they're tracking Mando just to kind of keep tabs on him. It's too coincidental that he would come across the same pilot, right? Like this is the whole
right.
galaxy. There can't be, there
And
must
I
be.
love how the talking after Mando goes off and they're like, do do you really want to go back and do paperwork?
Yeah.
No, not really.
Hey, rookie, do you want to go back and fill out all the stuff?
So
That was
yeah,
actually pretty cool. I liked that rapport between the two of them. Because we don't always see something like that in Star Wars.
right. And I think we're gonna get something interesting. No matter what, it's going to be the fight that's probably coming against the Pikes. Which, by the way, the Pikes, their masks remind me of the Crimson Dawn almost from Solo.
Yeah. And that might
I
be an
think
indication that we are going to see Crimson Dawn, which would be amazing, as well as the fact that we know that he's going to go see Grogu before he helps Boba Fett. So, are they going to allow us to see that episode, or do we have to wait for season 3 of The Mandalorian? Because if they were really clever, they wouldn't allow us to see that episode until season
right,
3 of The Mandalorian.
right,
I can't even believe I'm saying that, but you know,
yeah, because it would, like I said, it's gonna be he's gonna go off, do his thing. We're not gonna see it, and Fennec is gonna go back to Boba and say, okay, this is happening, and this is happening. He's got to do this. He's gonna come back, and it's free. He'll be the bustle.
yeah,
Excuse me.
yeah. And I'm just so excited from this. As I told you, I put on my Fennec Shand cosplay here because I just got so excited from seeing, from what I saw. If I had an armorer cosplay, I would have put that on. I really enjoyed that. Charlie the Unicorn says Kuat shipyards also could be a candidate, but most shot it down in chats. I've checked it out. Okay, so that was the location. I think that's what he was referring to. And Paul from Long Beach, he says he's got to go work out before work. Enjoy your workout, Paul.
Have a great day at work, Paul.
And he also says it could be Ringo Vinda from Star Wars and the Ringed Planet. Yeah. So yeah, that is very true. And
doesn't the lovely RM look great in her Fennec Shand
oh, thank
outfit?
you.
And
Thank
this
you.
is just the beginning of it, guys. It's gonna come out looking perfect, I think.
Yeah, I still have to have like someone do the fitting and stuff, but yes, thank you so much, Tom. I so appreciate that. I just felt like I had to wear my cosplay because it actually got me. Thank you, Charlie, Star Wars, The Old Republic. It just got me so excited that I was like, let me put on my cosplay. I just felt like I had to put this on, and I'm gonna wear it for the next thank you, Max Geekdom. I'm gonna wear it when I finally have it all together for real for in the future episodes since Fennec is around. So I really enjoyed this just talking about this episode
Yeah,
5
and
of
it's great that we did it right after because it's still fresh in our minds, and the
Mhm.
excitement is there from it, and you easily can remember it without having to go back and see it a second time. Now I'm sure you could rewatch the episode, and I'm sure like 10,000 different answers will come for every question you've asked. Well, I've noticed this. I noticed this. I noticed this.
Mhm.
Now, let me ask you this: do you think we're going to get Han Solo on the show, or was that all? Do you think that was all a diversion because they were going to put Mando in there?
Um, I don't think we're going to get Han Solo, but I think we are going to get Luke again because we're going to see Grogu. And I think that it would be unbelievable if they managed to slip in Luke, Han Solo, and Leia somehow.
Yeah.
But I think that
You know
would
what?
be
And if they were to do that, people would be like, "This is what we wanted."
wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be quite a prediction if they managed to do that? I would take it, somehow if they could do it. But yeah, so if they were going to do Han, I think it would be with Leia. That's what I
Right.
think. There, I said
Yeah.
it. Big three together. That's right, Charlie. The big three together. And, why not? That would be amazing. And, I'm so glad that, this kind of feels like there's a definite shift in the series. So guys, please don't lose hope. Keep the
Right.
faith, stay positive. Things are going to be, I think surprising us. And, someone, I think TK 592 says he wants to see Boba kicking some butt. I think we will see that. We have seen him fight, a few times in the series, especially that scene where he goes into like that bar and he kind
Right.
of just like offs
So
people.
you're getting little glimpses of Boba Fett's getting back to where he needs to be and where he's going to be. And the Tusken Raiders helped him regain his strength a bit for fighting. And the Bacta tank really was just re helping him regroup his strength and whatnot. So now that he does not need the tank anymore, knock on
Yes,
wood, he doesn't need it anymore. It's something's coming down the pike, as they would say. And
he's like,
no,
I don't need the Bacta tank anymore. Now I can be badass.
yeah. So
Like
I really, really think that whatever these next two episodes are going to bring, one of them is going to make everybody go, "This is what we want. Why is it like this now? Why isn't it like this then?" But you'll realize, oh, the build up to it had to have been this way for a reason.
Yeah, and Charlie the Unicorn says actors Alden Ehrenreich, Sebastian Stan, and to be determined Leia, young Leia. I would say go with Billie Lourd, her daughter,
Because
who could definitely play that role.
Billy Lord did the scene where Luke was talking about training with Leia, um, and the person who filled in for Carrie Fisher was Billy Lord. She
Yeah.
was Leia, and then they just digitally put her face on there. So I don't know. That's something they're gonna have to discuss with Billy Lord. Would you be comfortable doing this? And they would respect her on that one. Like, are you
Mm-hmm.
okay if we did this? And would you like to do this? And
Good
so
night, TK592.
yes, thank you for coming.
God, I'm so excited. All right, Tom, I'm gonna say we're gonna wrap it up. We've been on for over an hour. This
Yeah.
has been a very exciting hour. Tom, thank you so much for joining me to
Yes,
talk
and
about this amazing episode in the middle of the night,
in the
Tom.
middle of the night, and we had such a great group of people come into the chat. Don't forget to hit the like button. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and then ring that little bell, the notification bell that lets you know when a new episode of anything that comes on Positive Fandom comes out. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss the next two spoiler reviews. And hopefully, Catherine will be here and she'll give you guys the most detailed. She's really great at that stuff, guys. Trust me.
Mhm.
She knows her Star Wars, and so does the lovely RM. I want to
Oh,
thank you for
wait,
letting
wait,
me come
hold
on.
on. I didn't know Tony was here. Just one second. Tony? Tony, can you hear us? I'm
Hello.
sorry, Tony.
Yes,
Hey,
sorry.
Tony, how
No.
long have you been there?
Well, I've been having. I was just watching because I've been having some problems with YouTube, so I couldn't get into the YouTube thing.
I'm
So
so
I thought
sorry,
I just.
Tom.
No, that's
Tony,
fine.
Did you see the episode?
I did, yeah.
All right,
What did
tell
you
us what
think?
you think. Just tell us what your thoughts of it are.
Well, it was a nice callback. Obviously, then the Boo fighter was fun. Um, I was kind of expecting it just to explode, and what I was thinking. My basic thinking at the moment, as insane as everyone thinks I am, is that Din's payment will be the slave one, and Boba will give the slave one to Din. I think perhaps. I'm still convinced. I've got two theories. I've got two really crazy theories. One of them, which I keep sharing with people, and they hate it, is that this isn't actually, this is Boba Fett, but it's the failed Boba Fett clone. So if you look at it, when you see his reflection when he's looking at Slave One flying away, he's actually watching the other Boba clone flying away with Django, and he's the clone that didn't quite make the grade, so he ages a little bit faster. That's why he looks like a 60-year-old man and not a 40-year-old man. So he is Boba Fett. He literally is Boba Fett. but he's also not the Boba Fett from Empire Strikes Back.
Wow.
And this is why he was this is why he messed up quite so badly in Return of the Jedi, right? Because he was kind of not as nimble on his toes as the other clone. And I still think that perhaps we might get a Daniel Logan cameo at the end, coming to claim back his armor. I don't think that's going to happen now. I did think it was going to happen like in episode 2. I don't think it's going to happen now. I think Boba is probably going to die, saving Bo-Katan's life, and she's going to posthumously name him a true Mandalorian, and he's going to get a statue on Mandalore. That is what that is my prediction for what's going to happen to Boba Fett. But obviously, it's not a spoiler because I have no idea. Yeah, so that's what I think is going to happen.
That sounds like a really great theory, and I had not thought of that the about Boba being left there on the planet, and that being Jango and the real Boba.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean this is what, and this is why it's like, why is Boba so out of shape? And it's like, well, he's basically 20 years older than the other Boba Fett. But obviously there are certain things. It's like you're not going to have Boba turn up. I still wanted to see Boba turn up in the Empire Strikes Back armor, but obviously that can't happen because they've stated now the whole Beskar thing. It's no longer Durasteel. Now, when it was Durasteel, you could have gone, well, there could be 2 suits of armor, much like with Jodo Cast. So there's a possibility that this Boba Fett that we're seeing in this series is actually the new version of Jodo Cast, perhaps, and that we're going to get a showdown, and we're going to get and this Boba Fett, the Boba Fett that everyone's been complaining that we're not seeing, this cold, calculating loner. This is perhaps who we're going to see. This is perhaps who Daniel Logan might play if he was in it. And then, but the problem is, it's like you have to then kill him straight away, right? Because you can't have 2 Boba Fetts flying around the universe. But yeah, so no, it's a crazy idea. It's a crazy idea, but I tend to think it's going to be the latter thing now, and he's gonna become a hero of Mandalore, and I'm still kind of on this. I still think the main villain, the main antagonist of season 3 of The Mandalorian is going to be the Armorer. I've got a feeling that the armor, obviously, as far as the armor is concerned, he's no longer a Mandalorian. Oh no, it's a spoiler. It's a spoilers, right? Sorry.
Yes,
sorry.
And I did want to ask you, Tony, did she send Din on an impossible quest in order to become a Mandalorian again in her eyes?
I don't think she cares one way or the other. If he dies, he dies. There's I think obviously he's one way or the other, he's going to have to go to Mandalore, right? Which means he's going to get caught up in that rebellion. So and wherever he goes, I'm guessing here's the thing: if Boba Fett gives him the Slave One at the end of next week's episode, and then he turns up in the first episode of, obviously, yeah, I think you're right. I think there's going to be a flashback episode which will show you what happened with Grogu. I don't think we're going to see Grogu in the majority of season 3 of The Mandalorian. It'll probably just be a 1 episode thing. he'll give him the armor piece that he gave him, that he got made for him. But yeah, it's there's a lot of stuff that could happen. I don't agree. I don't agree with a lot of the naysayers about that Boba has become a softie in his old age. I do get it. I do get it that and he's way too talkative. He seems, and here's the thing, he seems a little bit more like Rex than Boba Fett, right? He's a bit too chummy. I think that's a problem. But then again, he can't be just any clone. He can't be just any clone, because obviously he wouldn't be aware of you wouldn't show that flashback of him as a young in the Boba Fett, young Boba Fett costume and all that stuff.
Right.
If he wasn't,
so there had to be a reason for showing that.
Yeah. So I there's a possibility that he could be Jodo cast, and that there will be a showdown either at the end of this or in the Mandalorian. Here's the thing. We've seen Black Chrysanthemum, but we haven't seen the big hitters yet, right? We haven't seen Bosk. We haven't seen Dengar. Now I know Dengar was in one of the comics recently, which was kind of to sort of build the bridge between Empire Strikes Back and Jedi, and he was an antagonist to Boba in that. But it's a job; it's not personal, right? So there's the possibility that. But then again, was the Boba Fett in that comic the Boba Fett or this Boba Fett? I don't know. But yeah. So and that's one of the crazy things. That's one of the crazy topics you can bring up when you're dealing with clones, is that there's a possibility that there are a dozen other characters waiting in the wings to come on, and we know that Morrison would gladly play Rex and the other. And we know Rex. Well, we know Rex was still alive around the time of Return of the Jedi, because obviously the guy with a beard in the Endor scene was him, apparently. Is now anyway. So that's a possibility, I suppose. I don't know. It's just it's awkward. It's awkward because I genuinely like this series. There's some real blunders they've made. Obviously, the mods was really, it's like, oh, they're actual like 60s style mods, and they're called mods, and they ride scooters, with like loads of rear view mirrors on, just like the mods did in the 60s in London. It's like, I'm not sure. That's a little bit too. That's a little bit too meta for me, you know.
Excuse me for a moment. I got to do something really quick.
Well,
I got to get my niece up.
I understand, and unfortunately, I have to end the stream now. Tony, Tom, thank you for joining me.
Bye.
Everybody in the chat, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
And everybody, have a great day. We're going to be back talking more of this Book of Boba Fett. Everybody, have a great day and be kind to one another.
Bye.
Bye.
Arrivederci. Arrivederci.